Crazy. All right, sorry guys. I don't know what keeps going on with this stupid thing, but for some reason it keeps cutting people off. Crazy. All right, technical difficulties again. Never ending. Never ending. Sorry, guys. Hey, Judd, how's it going, man? I remember you. How the macros turning out? Yeah, I seem to be having technical difficulties where everything keeps on blowing out my internet or something. I don't know. Kind of crazy. This is how a deployment is. Yeah. Yeah, stressful. Alrighty, well, you guys, I've been talking for 2 hours, man. This is crazy. You guys have any questions? Something that's just bugging you? I think I was talking just a minute ago about this huge fire claim that I just did. I just put a video up where it fried the entire attic of the 3rd floor. So it was a stick-built house and every rafter was burnt. That was a lightning strike and started the house on fire in the attic. So it's totally crazy. Big estimate, $254,000 estimate I had to write. So that was not fun. So you asked a question, fix your boat and more. Do you know who does W-2? W-2. I hate 1099. Do they pay more if they don't know? Yeah, 1099 always will pay more. W-2 is going to be like getting hired at State Farm as an employee. At what pitch do you say, okay, I'm going to put on my climbing gear? You can do that at any pitch. I would say to justify it to the insurance company, probably 912. 8, you probably would. The only way I could get away with an 8 is I would say granules are extremely loose. It was 2-story off the roof. You know, there was no porch, and it was 2-story off the ground. And put my gear on. And especially if ASI, like for ASI, I'll pay $150 to put on my rope and harness. At the beginning, when I was a new adjuster, I put it on every stinking roof that was over 812. I was making $150 every roof. I paid for my gear. So, hey, take advantage of it while you're new, because you can easily blame it on that when you're saying, hey, man, I'm new to this. I don't want to fall off a roof. And, I did 100 claims, charging $150 every time I got on a roof. Until one of the managers, he wrote me and he said, did you really need a rope and harness for that roof? So finally I figured I might have been doing it too much. so they'll call you on it. So, and who does W-2? So W-2, so here's the, I would never work as a W-2. I mean, pilot, yeah, I think somebody may have sent me a note about pilot doing W-2. And that must be brand new, because when I was working pilot, we were doing independent and 1099, and we were making $35.75 an hour, 60 hours a week. So unless it's express or something like that, like it's State Farm work and you're working express, they may have gone the route of doing W-2 to try and set you up as an employee for pilot. And you know why they're doing that? I'll tell you why they're doing that. Is they're charging State Farm $35.75, and they're only paying you $20 or whatever. W-2 $20. They're basically trying to rip you off. They're trying to figure out a way to profit for every hour that you work, but they're actually billing State Farm like $35 an hour. So that's what they do. So unless a bunch of us get out there and start complaining and say, I'm not working W-2, I'm a 1099. And, the power is in the adjuster who says that's not a proper payment for the work that we do. Unless a bunch of people complain about it, then nothing's going to change. So 70 regular pay, 84 hours. 70 regular pay, 84 hours a week. Oh, so you work normally 7 days a week, 10 hours a day, and pay 84 hours. I'm not sure I'm following you there. Yeah, there are some that will work you 7 days a week, 10 hours a day, and pay you $25 an hour. And they're paying you W-2 on that one? And 84 hours a week. I don't know what that is. 12 hours a day, 7 days a week. Yeah, I wouldn't work W-2. No, there are too many jobs out there, 1099. Because you're not going to get the benefits. And benefits don't pay. I mean, so you get a medical payment. So what? They pay you medical coverage. You can get medical for cheap. 44 hours of overtime. 7 days a week at $70 an hour? Well, dang, that's not bad. Well, dang, that's not bad. I mean, that's a lot higher than I thought they were paying. I don't know. I mean, it's up to you. I mean, money is money. It's up to you. You can make your own decision. I think each individual person has to look at it. What makes sense to you. I like being 1099 because, and things make more sense the longer that I'm an adjuster, because I don't know if you guys know this, but the more experience that you have as an adjuster, you can start charging more if you get time and expense billing. That's T&E is what they call it. Is you can be a regular adjuster, you can move up into the intermediate, and then you can be a general adjuster. So there's another one too, I think. Anyway, so I can charge more per hour for my services as the more experience that I get. So think about typical T&E is like $70 an hour that I can charge for services. I think the next level is like 95 to 100, and then the next one is like $125 an hour as a general adjuster. And basically it's all about experience. How many years experience do you have, and how much training do you have, how many certifications you have, then you can start charging the higher amounts. And so the reason why this is important is that as you get to be a more experienced adjuster, you're going to start doing more large loss adjusting, where they are going to pay T&E. And so think about, here's the downside. And this is why I really argue when it comes to billing. I tell people, I say, I don't care if it's a large loss or not, I'm not working T&E, because I have to do it for the $70 an hour, because I haven't applied to get to the higher levels with the firms that I'm working for yet. But I've become more efficient at writing those estimates, so I can actually write those large estimates pretty fast. And it doesn't make it worthwhile to work T&E if I can write those claims fast, because T&E is basically every hour that I work, I make $70 an hour. Well, if I'm doing a large loss and I'm using my macros and I'm blasting through that, my goal is to get this thing done as fast as possible. I can write, like I wrote this $250,000 estimate in 6 hours. So are you saying that I'm only worth $320 or $420 to write that estimate because I can write it in 6 hours at $78 an hour or $70 an hour? That's only $420 to write that $250,000 estimate. It's not worth it. So I force them to pay on the fee schedule, and the fee schedule, I made $1,400. Now I got to take 60% of that, but that's about $800 that I made to write that estimate. So far better to work on a fee schedule than it is by hourly. So no different than a W-2. I'm not going to make any more money writing large estimates or doing a ton more work or writing checks or doing all this extra work that they push on you like Citizens does. Citizens Insurance, they make you do everything on the claim, and they only pay you hourly. That's not worth it. It's too much stress and too much work involved in writing those estimates or owning those claims from start to finish. It's not worth it, not for the money. I'd rather just do a roof claim, be done in an hour, and make my $300 to $500 writing the estimate. And that's how you make the money. So if you're making $300 to $500 take home, like my pay, $300 to $500 on every estimate, and I'm writing 5 of those a day, now that's some big cash. And if you can do that regularly, then that's the way to go. So what carrier would I not work for? I would not work for Allstate. Hey, Uncle Buck, I don't know who you are, but hey. No, I wouldn't work for Allstate. I wouldn't work for Citizens. Citizens has been known to rip people off. They're out of Florida. They are known for ripping adjusters off constantly, overworking them. A buddy of mine's working for them right now. He only did it out of sheer necessity. But he hates, every time he goes, he hates it. But they'll hire anybody because they are desperate need of workers. You like the local NC ones. Oh, Indianapolis? Oh man, I can get you can get a license in Indianapolis. Man, Indiana was the best license I ever got. So I made Indiana my home state when I lived up there. So I lived up in Lafayette for a couple of years when I was working, or about a year when I was working State Farm. Sorry, I got an itchy nose. And so I applied for my Indiana license, and I got that license in 2 weeks. I mean, it was an easy test. Well, actually, that one was a reciprocal. So I got that one just by applying, and I got it in 2 weeks. I had my Texas license. Yeah, Sedgwick's a good company. I would work for them. I have never done that, but I've heard a lot of good things about them. So I got my Texas license as my primary because I was living in Texas when I first started. And then I thought that was the best reciprocal license to get, but it's actually Indiana is the best one to get. So you get your home state and get Indiana. There's actually more licenses that are reciprocal from the Indiana license than any other state. So how about getting work like a consultant? Oh, I like a consultation with you. Oh, okay. Yeah, a lot of people have been asking for that consultation thing. Maybe I should start doing that. I don't know. I thought I was answering everybody's question here, but you know, cool. Make more money doing that. I guess whatever. I'm just here to help. So if it works out and you guys want to keep paying me, then cool. Which company has the best file reviewers? Oh, that is a good question. Who knows? How do you buy my macros? My macros are on, if you go to my YouTube page and you just at the top of that search, you know, put Daniel the Adjuster, and then you search macros. There's like 3 or 4 videos that I've made for the macros, and they have the links in that description. In it, yeah, Judd bought my macros. A bunch of people have bought my macros, and I have heard nothing but positive about them. So apparently they must be good. No, I was kidding. So a macro is a way to write an estimate super fast. So think of it kind of like if, I don't know if you're a coder or you've learned about some computer stuff like Java or what was that other one? I don't know. There was one, a program. Basically, you could write a whole bunch of code lines and then save it as a one-liner. So that when I was programming computer language, instead of typing those 50 lines of code, I just typed that short one and then it would populate those 50 lines. Well, that's just exactly what the macros do for estimating, is that when I write a roof and I have an estimate, might have 15 line items in my roof estimate. I can save that into, 30-year laminate shingle replace. And then when I click on that macro, it automatically populates those 15 lines into my estimate. So the same thing goes if I have like a 30-year laminate repair, then I might only have 6 lines for the repair. So I have created macros, about 200 or 300 in my set, that have tons of scenarios for different insurance companies, different scenarios, different repairs, from siding to brick to pool repairs. I mean, there's all sorts of things in there that basically make writing estimates easier, because instead of thinking of the 25 line items and repairing that item, I put it all into one and you just click it, and then you just have to change a few of the items to make it work. So I use them every day, and they're super fast, and I'm just blessing you guys because somebody blessed me and I'm passing it on. So no, I really enjoy it. So what I do is I tell people, if you like what you see on my videos, when you watch the video, there's a thanks button on the bottom of the video, and it's a donation thing. So you like it, give me $1. You like it more, give me $2. So it helps me to understand what videos you guys are liking, so I can make more of the ones that you like. And it helps me to just feel encouraged that you guys found some love in that, found some good stuff in that video. So just remember that, to hit the thanks button, because that works too. Doesn't the stuff like on TikTok kind of bug you a little bit, where people are going, send me a rose, you know, whatever. I mean, I think that stuff's so cheesy. Some girl, in a half-dressed girl, gets on TikTok and sits there and goes, I am all pretty and smiley, send me a rose. And I'm like, I'm not sending you nothing, girl. You do nothing for me. Why would I send you a rose for looking at me? So my macros, there you go. Fix your boat. Thank you so much. That's the type of thing I'm saying. You obviously find something interesting here. I didn't just smile and walk around half naked on here. I actually did something and giving you guys some content. So I appreciate that. I really appreciate it. Every nickel helps. So yeah, we were talking about, for a property, do I need to know other software besides Xactimate? Yeah, so, I mean, Word, Office, Excel, those are all like the basic office stuff. Yeah, you're gonna wanna know those. I mean, not super well, but yeah, you're gonna have to know like Grammarly. So here's the best thing. On Word, if you guys are writing a report, add in Grammarly to everything. It is a lifesaver for me when I write my reports, and I just click on the Grammarly and it goes through and checks the spelling and checks the words, and I use it on every report. It's the best add-on. So if you don't know about it, research it. Man, it's a lifesaver for me. I don't ever get people calling me back and going, did you mean to say this? Or your spelling said, duck, or instead of, it said dick instead of duck, or something like that, where it was duck work, and I said dick work, or something just stupid. So yeah, that Grammarly is going to do it. Yeah, as far as Xactimate, it is I think the primary software that everybody's using. Probably 95% of all insurance carriers are using Xactimate, and I don't ever see them changing. I've been in this 10 years, working on my 10th year, and they've tried to go to Symbility a couple times, and some of the carriers will try it for a little bit. They always switch back. So everybody kind of cycles, and yeah, thanks for teaching this, how fast to start to finish will take. You'll learn from start to finish. You gotta give it some time. It does. I think when I first started, I think I had anticipations that I would find work right away, and it was a little slow. But what I did was I just listened to everybody who was telling me what I should do, and basically I did everything and more that they said to do, meaning getting on about 40 rosters and just, sending my resume nonstop to these people and calling them every week and, just bugging the tar out of people. And I think what I did is I realized that the persistent person is the one who's going to get the work. The person that wouldn't leave the firms alone is constantly begging and trying to get work. So start to finish, if you are a go-getter, as a self-employed person, if you are a go-getter and you're not afraid to just bust butt and do whatever it takes to get work done, I think in 6 months you could be making some decent money. Not a tremendous amount, but you could probably get deployed on a couple cats and get your first start in about 6 months. I actually really bust tail, and I was out there working in 3 months. I was on my first cat within about 3 months. Did a terrible job, but I was deployed and I made some money, and then I was able to put that on my resume and it worked. So it's all about your resume, guys. If you hand in a resume and you have little to no experience, then the person's just going to pass that resume on and say, well, call us back when you got a little more experience. But if you've got level 1, level 2 certification for Xactimate, you've got State Farm certification, you've got State Farm auto certification, you've got Liberty Mutual possibly even there, or Nationwide certification, you got your steep and tall, maybe you got some ladder assist stuff going on. You could say, hey, I'm familiar with that. Hey, thanks, Judd, appreciate that. Really do. Yeah, so if you have that stuff built in on your resume, then if they say, hey, you have no experience, but you got all this, basically if you've got all this experience and you got it on your resume as far as the tools that are involved in doing this job, then somebody's going to give you an opportunity. But if you've got a resume that's empty and you're really not showing that you're pursuing anything, you're just going to get passed by. So a couple other questions. What apps do I use for storm confirmation? That's a good question. So I actually don't use an app. I just, I have one app, and that's called Radar Scope. And that's just a current weather app, but that's only for me and my weather. It's the best weather app that I've ever seen anywhere, is Radar Scope. I think I pay $49 a year for that app, but it's worth every penny. So if you want like the best weather app, that is the best weather app. But for finding storms, I just put in into Google, I'll put in stormer site, I'll put in the city and the date that the storm is. Like I'll put in May or something like that. And it will pull up everything. So Stormer Site's the best one I use. It will give me the storm dates for everything that happened, history, everything. Best one I ever use. I just copy and paste it and drop that in as a PDF into my file if I'm trying to prove when a storm happened. Because it shows everything. And it's funny because Stormer Site, I had one desk adjuster say, well, that's not even the real deal. That's just spotters that are saying that there was damage in the area. And I'm like, yeah, and who do you think those trained spotters are? People that know what hail looks like, and they're good people. So it's a great one. So you can argue left and right with a desk adjuster about whether it's real or not, but if it's wrote on the web and it says there was an event and there was 3/4 hail, I don't need a Verisk hail report or hail scope or any of these other ones out there that tell me that there was an event. I don't need any of that. I've got a web document that says on this, there was 3/4 hail in this area and the city is listed. I just copy and paste that and boom, I'm done. So, do you think you need to be certified with Xactimate? Todd, yes, absolutely. Level 1 and level 2. Absolutely. Are you paying for confirmation of storm damage? Are you paying for confirmation of a storm on hail damage? Yeah, level 1 and 2 is the only certification I would get. I would not go to the 3. I don't think you'll ever need it. But firms, the first thing they're going to do is ask you, are you familiar with Xactimate? And you can say, absolutely, I'm level 1 and level 2 certified. You'll be hired in a second. If you can pass those 2 certifications, because they're done by the software, Xactware is the ones that give the test. It's a hard test. So if you can pass those tests and get those certifications, there's not a single firm out there that won't hire you. I'm telling you, that's guaranteed. They know you know the software if you can pass those 2 certifications. So just get them. Take the time, take the studies. I've got a lot of Xactimate videos that teach you how to use the program. So if you guys want to learn it, spend the 4 hours, 5 hours that I got the training in there and learn that program, and you're going to be a lot better to the point where you can have a really good start at learning that program. So do it. Oh, to get a hail claim paid, you have to have a hail report? No, not necessarily. I just use it as my documentation to help justify my reasons for paying it. So think about it. If I go into a house and I'm doing an inspection and I don't have any collateral damage, which means I don't have any soft metals, I don't have any screens, I don't have any fascia, don't have the mailbox, I don't have any of that damaged, yet I get on the roof and I say there's hail damage on the roof. And the first thing that adjuster, the desk adjuster, is going to say is, oh, with no collateral, there's probably not hail. It's probably just markings on the roof. I will pop in a PDF of the hail event that I found online, and what I do is I save those PDFs in a folder, and I just name it hail reports, and I'll put a date beside it, like May 2022, whatever, June 2022, July 2022, and somewhere in there is probably the city that is surrounding my area, and it'll be listed in that report. So I'll just drop that in. I'll just put it in my bundle when I send it into my file reviewer. It's just literally a way to prove to them. I mean, that's your purpose as an insurance adjuster, is to prove to them there's damage. And then number one, hopefully your skill tells you that it is hail damage, but also if they are doubting your skill, then you've got a report to back it up. So not necessarily, I mean, I don't always send it in, but on those questionable ones where I've got pretty small hail and I'm trying to get this thing bought on granule loss, then I'm gonna include that report and say, hey, yeah, there was a 3/4 inch hail. And 3/4 inch hail is pretty small and will not do a ton of damage to a roof. But if I'm looking for those tiny hail hits on the roof, I've got to have some justification to prove it by that roof. And any documentation that I can include is going to help the cause. So just keep that in mind. Your super chat failed. I'm sorry. I don't know how to help you on that. Worked for Travelers for 16 years, but I was deployed for CAT duty as an inside adjuster several times for several months. How do I get a desk adjuster job as an IA? Transition outside once already. Okay, so they're taking advantage of you then. Basically, Travelers is taking advantage of you as a desk adjuster and trying to give you both roles and not really paying you as an IA. So what I tell people is you got to switch. You got to get out from the W-2 or the employee role and just go straight into an independent. And the great thing is you got the experience now. So you build your resume up, you load that resume up with all the experience, all the training that you had inside as a desk adjuster. You label every course that you've taken for a continuing education, and you build that resume. Mine's 3 pages long, my resume. And it literally is every stinking course I've ever taken for continuing education. I keep on adding it to my resume. So that's just, you make your resume beautiful. Then when that person opens up the resume and goes, man, there's 3 stinking pages of experience on this resume, man, let's hire him. Oh, he's worked for Travelers. Oh man, he's worked for State Farm. All right, well, no problem. We'll go. Any recommendations on where to get licensed for Florida? No, I don't have any recommendations. I would just say take an online, like a pre-licensing course for Florida. You can get that on Adjuster Pro is where I would go for any licensing courses. They teach you everything you need to know to pass the course. I used them, I love them. And I've heard a lot of people still use them and still say it's great. So, let's see. Which adjusting companies have support for new people on first deployment? Okay, so Alacrity would be certainly the first one that I would use. They used to be called Whirly. They're really the biggest one out there. Pilot does training. EA Renfro does training. Wardlaw does training. Crawford and Company does training. Pretty much all the big firms, they all work State Farm claims. And so they're going to do your the training that you need. And it's great. I mean, start as a desk adjuster and you know nothing. They'll train you everything. You'll sit through every boring video that you could ever imagine, and they'll teach you stuff that you wish you never had to listen to. But yeah, it's that's how I got started. It's a great start. Get you in. You pay your dues. Basically, adjusting. You know, everybody says I want to be a daily adjuster. You know, you don't start that way. I don't hardly know a soul that ever came in as a daily adjuster as their first deployment. It just doesn't happen that way. They won't trust you with it. So you got to pay your dues. But it's all about building that resume. If you get that resume in front of somebody and you've got all this experience, whether it's construction experience from your previous jobs, or you're a mechanic, or you're a consultant, or maybe you're even a public speaker and you got great PR skills, you got tons of sales experience, you put it all on your resume. It all helps. Maybe you're a roofer, maybe you were a handyman, maybe you were you know, home inspector, whatever. I mean, these are all great things. I am a daily and don't want to beeve. Am I reading that right? Yes, roofers make excellent adjusters. In fact, that's interesting. Oh, you don't want to be, it's all about actually knowing how to handle claims. Yeah, and that's only going to come with experience. So, yeah, and as far as Xactimate, you definitely need to learn the program, go through the training, watch my videos. Like I said, I got about 6 hours worth of training on Xactimate, so you can definitely learn a lot from me, and then just playing with the program. And yeah, you may have to buy it for a month at full price just so that you can practice it, because their little demo version doesn't allow you to do a lot of things. But yeah, you can learn Xactimate in a month and be certified in no time. Yeah, GRS, man, I heard a lot of people say that. I would not work for GRS. I did not like them. I did not like their work ethic, but hey, if it worked for you, great, super. Personally, I don't like them, but that's, hey, I'm allowed my opinion. Let's see. I think that was it. Crawford and Pilot, yeah, excellent companies. No, like I said, you're allowed your own opinion. It's cool. I mean, I've had a lot of experience with people that have said they've been burnt with that company when they get on a job and paychecks didn't come when they were supposed to. They're holding back things. You know, and it could have been just a tough time for them. Maybe they've restructured, but you know, those years ago. So, like I said, all the firms, they go through a lot of changes. Like Whirly used to be a really great company, and then they changed, and you know, became Alacrity. So there's lots of changes in the firms. Okay, Telescopic Ladder I would never buy. Most unsafe ladders I've ever seen in creation. I can't believe they even passed safety protocols. They collapse. the clips wear out and they drop down. So nothing like being on a ladder and it drops down a rung while you're 8 feet in the air. It's a scary, scary ladder. In fact, I've been offered many times by guys to walk, like to climb them, because the roofers will bring them and set you up a ladder. And I have slid off the gutter just trying to climb up the stupid thing because it gets so narrow at the top. You know, remember, it's big and fat at the bottom, but each pole fits inside the next one and goes all the way up. And then right at the top, it's only about a foot wide. And I'm sitting there climbing up this ladder, and the stupid thing's sliding off the gutter while I'm halfway up there because there's only a foot of round poles sitting on the gutter. The scariest thing I've ever been on. And it flexes. I'm a big guy. And so it flexes. And I see people using them. I mean, they're great. They fit in the back of a pickup truck. I use basically the Werner fold-up ladders. They extend, you know, but their locking mechanism is totally amazing. Mine's a 22-footer, and then I have the little baby giant, little giant, big giant, whatever you want to call them. A Gorilla, absolutely perfect ladder, super safe. They lock in place, they never fail. I've been on, you know, 4,500 roofs with my fold-up ladder and still never changed it. It's still the same original ladder I had 9 years ago. So absolutely amazing ladder. And then I use the baby one, which goes to about 9 feet, I think. Yeah, I think it extends to 9 feet, and that gets me on all my double poles to go up to the second story, like when I set that ladder on top of a porch to get to the next level. And that's the one I bungee to the gutter. So great ladder. Another tiny one's nice and light and carry it up on the ladder with you. Totally amazing. Let's see. I see you have a telescope. Do I have a video on roof scoping process? Yes, I do. So you have to look through it and find it. I'm not sure exactly how to help you locate that. But if you, my hail inspection videos really show everything you need to know about how to scope a roof. If you watch them all, then you're going to get it all, because I didn't hit every point on every hail inspection video. But yeah, they're really cool. How often do you replace your vehicle? Oh, yeah, so you go through a lot of miles. I would say generally I'm looking about every 3 years that I change out vehicles. Now, the reason why I do that, I buy a 10-year-old vehicle, normally a Toyota or a Lexus, just for the fact that they're extremely long-lasting and they just get incredible miles, incredible low maintenance, and good gas mileage. And I don't have to worry about them breaking down. So the reason being is that you're going to put on about 50,000 miles a year, Nissan good. You're going to put on about 50,000 miles a year. So in 3 years, I'm on 150,000 miles. So if I'm buying a car with 150 already on it, as a Toyota, that's just breaking it in. That's just barely getting it going. So I buy a Highlander, Pathfinders, something that has a little hatchback or something like that, that's good. I had a van when I first started. That was just because it was a family van, but my kids have grown out of the van, so I got rid of the van. But yeah, so something that has like a hatchback or a roof rack or something you can put on works great. I write off my car, yes. I write off everything from the mileage. I have an app called Mile IQ. So if you want to know an app that you want to purchase, it's called Mile IQ. It works on GPS, and basically it runs in the background on my iPhone and tracks every mileage everywhere I go. Yeah, RAV4 is a great car too, absolutely. Might be a little small to get your ladder in because they are a little more compact. So that's why I went to the Highlander, is it's longer, and when I roll down the seats, then I got, yep, Mile IQ, that's right. So the Highlander is a little bit longer, so I can fit both my ladders laying down with the seats down. Close the hatch, perfect fit, and everything's air conditioning. Oh, you never keep track of your miles? Oh, that's terrible. So I get about $10,000 in write-offs probably a year from my mileage. And what's really nice is some of the carriers will pay mileage, so I get a double write-off. I get the cash reimbursed for the mileage on my paycheck, and then I also write it off on my taxes too. So I write it off twice. And it's not a lot that I get from the carriers, but some of the carriers will pay over 100 miles, like when I travel over 100 miles. I send them a map in, let them know I drove 140, and they'll pay the 40 extra miles at, 58 or 60 cents or whatever it happens to be that they pay. So it adds up. So no different than if you use your rope and harness. For some carriers, they'll pay you $150 to climb the roof with safety equipment. So definitely, take that rope and harness charge it to the insurance company. Do that 50 times a year at $150, and you just made yourself $6,500 to pay for all your equipment. So the best carrier that I want to work for, well, the best one I'm working for right now is ASI-Progressive and Universal. Universal North America is who I do primary for, and I will never, ever change. Ever, ever change. Those guys are the best two insurance companies for paying everything, for file reviewers. Well, the file reviewers really are, I would say even the desk adjusters are nice. The file reviewers, well, they change all the time. So you got to remember the desk adjuster. Yeah, so Progressive. Yeah, Progressive's awesome. That's ASI. So that's their mother company is ASI, and Progressive is the best. I would even change them as my home insurance and change back. I have State Farm, and I don't like them for. Actually, I don't have State Farm for my home. I actually changed to AAA for my home. They were actually better than State Farm. But if I was to switch from AAA, I would go to Progressive. They take care of the homeowners phenomenally. So best. And what I like about them as far as an adjuster goes is they will approve roofs over and over and over again that I personally think are repairable or should be repaired, and they'll write back and go ahead and replace it. Well, that makes me more money because it's a bigger estimate, but it also takes care of the owner, like the customer, a whole lot better too. Yeah, USAA is kind of borderline. I've heard good and bad about them. And same with State Farm. State Farm has changed a ton. People hate State Farm now, working claims as an IA. So they just changed. I mean, Allstate's terrible. Yeah, so it just depends. So here's, as an IA, so this is what's really good. What's really good about being an IA is and that's called independent adjuster. You can choose who you want to work for based on their fee schedule. So when you go to sign up with a firm and they say, hey, we do Erie claims, or we do Allstate, or whatever, I always ask them, hey, can you send me their fee schedule first before I agree to work those claims? And the fee schedule tells me how much I'm going to make per claim. Now, here's the little trick that they do with the fee schedule is they will change the parameters like 0 to 5,000. They'll wrap everything up into and pay like $275, which is really crummy. That's actually a really bad one. ASI will go 0 to 2,500 is $275, or no, 300 actually. And then they'll go 2,500 to 5,000 is like $425. So they actually really take care of, they do more breaks in their fee schedule so that when you write a big claim that happens to be over 10,000 or 15,000 or whatever, you end up making great money. See, now here's the thing. Progressive is paying $375 for their bottom claim. Every claim I write is $375. Now I'm only make 60% of that, but still, like you're saying, USAA is only paying $225 for their bottom claim. You still make 60%. It's really crummy. It's really bad. I mean, by the time you spend that time writing it, you're only making $20 an hour. I mean, it's maybe a little more, but maybe $50 an hour. But I'm making $75 to $100 an hour every time I write a claim. And that's because their fee schedule is fair. And so what you want to do is, as you develop a roster of people that you work for, I literally now, when somebody calls me up, and I get these calls all the time now, where a firm will call up and say, hey, we got some claims in your area, would you like to sign up on our roster? And I go, well, send me your fee schedule. And the first thing they say is, well, we're not paying as high as everybody else. And I go, well, then don't bother, because I probably won't work for you. So I get to choose now who I work for based on the fee schedule. When you're new, you can't. In North Carolina, I work for a company called NCJUA, which is basically the guaranteed insurance for anybody who can't get insurance. So after you've been kicked out of every other insurance company, NCJOA will cover you. But they are the worst, worst paying adjusting firm ever. And they're the worst desk adjusters you've ever worked for in your life. So they're literally miserable. And yeah, so I had to pay the dues. I actually was working for them first and did all their claims when I was brand new because I wanted the work. I needed the work. But the first thing that a firm will do is, so let's say you've started out, you're new, you put in your 6 months or whatever, and you're applying to a new firm, they're going to go, how many claims did you handle for NCJOA? And I could say, well, I've done 300, in that 6 months or whatever. Even if they were really crummy paying, I now have the experience that this firm is looking for and saying, oh yeah, you got tons of experience. You've handled, 300 claims, whatever. So I can now get on with the new firm, work for them for a little while, maybe overlapping the two, never burning your bridges of the prior firm you worked for, because you never know if you have to go back to them. But I can use this one, and then I start getting more and more and more with them. And then I get to the point where I can go to this firm and say, I'm actually getting kind of busy. Can you tone me down a little bit on the claims? I got a couple firms I'm working for, and I'm actually getting really busy with them. I really can't handle as much. And I'm thankful. I say, thank you so much, but I'm so sorry. I'm getting busy. But, can you tone me down a little bit? And then I wait a couple more months. Hey, can I get you to, hold off on claims for a little bit? I'm trying to catch up. So that's my next line, is I'm trying to catch up, which means I don't want any more of your claims. So then they'll call me back in a couple weeks and go, have you caught up? And you can say, well, actually, I haven't really caught up because I actually started getting more work with the next one. It gets to a point where you can weed out that firm, the one that was not paying as well. And I still get calls all the time. Do you want to handle some NCJOAs? And I say, actually, I'm really busy right now, but I can't do it. And I may not be at that time, but I don't want to take them on to give them hope of, getting me locked in to work for them at a lower rate. Because it really kills you, man. If you're putting in the time, why would you not want to make the best money you can? And that's what the different fee schedules are all about. These other companies, the other firms, are maybe brand new firms coming into the market, and they're trying to get the business of NCJOA or whatever, so they're offering lower prices than the average firm would charge. And that's because they're trying to get the work. Well, they can't get adjusters to work for them. So what's the point? So they undercut everybody trying to get the work because they're brand new into the business, but they can't get adjusters to work for them. So yeah, the lower the fees companies have no one, they have no adjusters that want to work for them. You got to come to a point where you yourself personally put a line of where you say, I'm just not going to work for that. I'm worth more than that. My time, my gas, especially now with all gas being up and nobody's paying gas mileage anymore, you've got to get to a point where this is what I'm willing to work for a claim, and that's the lowest. So I'm working for a firm right now that I'm working, I won't tell the insurance company, but I'm working for this insurance company, and they're right at the bottom line. They're right at the bottom line of where I feel comfortable doing work. I don't like the claims. Every time I go in and do the insurance company, I'm disappointed, but they actually give me a fair bit, and they fill in during the slow times. So I don't do a ton of claims with them, but it's nice to get a little bit from them. And so when I look back at the history of the whole year, I may have handled, I don't know, maybe a couple hundred claims for them over the year. But if you look at the low price and multiply it by a couple hundred claims, it actually makes for some decent money. So I do have one firm, one carrier that I still not have weeded out. So that happens. But as a new adjuster, you may have a whole bunch of those that you're working for at rock bottom prices just to get your experience. And then eventually you roll over and go to the better ones. So let me think. Lower fee companies have known this right. Have you hit any animals like a deer? Huh. You know what? I am so fortunate I have not. I have lots of squirrels, but a little squirrel. So no, I have not hit any deers. Yeah, a ram guard would be totally amazing, like to put on the front of your truck to absolutely protect your vehicle. I mean, probably out in Texas, you got to watch out for. There's a lot of deer here, but here's the thing. I'll tell you when the deer come out. The deer come out more in the afternoon, in the evening, and I'm never out on the roads at that time of the day. My schedule, I start at 8. My first claim is at 8, and I'm done and home by noon every day, or 11. I want all my inspections done in the morning. I'm picking up lunch on the way home, and I write my claims for the rest of the afternoon. So I'm not on the road. So probably that's why I don't ever hit any deer. So, wow, I bet. There's a lot of deer in Texas. There's deer everywhere. You can't even get away from those things out there. So, if I had 10 per week at $300, I'm happy as a base. Absolutely. So that's actually my minimum, believe it or not, is 10 claims a week. That's actually totally, you're welcome, Sean. Yeah, 10 claims a week is my winter schedule. If I get 10 claims a week in the winter, I'm happy, because that's normally a very slow time. Kicks in about November, right around the holiday time. When Thanksgiving comes up, it really slows down and goes right through till January, February, something like that. So everybody's broke in January from Christmas, so you don't ever have anybody opening claims because they're like, I don't have $1,000 for the deductible for my roof, so I'm not going to open a claim. So nothing happens in January, and February is kind of slow. And then hail season comes in about March. The potential of hail season comes in about March, and so everybody starts, bustling and getting around. And then April is always a hail event. So yeah, so it's so winter is actually kind of slow. Have you had any roofs in snow days? I do not get on a roof in snow. What I'll do is get on the ladder, take a picture of the roof in snow, and say, can't get on the roof. And literally as an IA, they take that claim away from you, and you probably never have to inspect it. Not unless, especially up in the north, they do that a lot, where they just reassign it to a desk adjuster and say, we'll get to it in the spring. So, but here in North Carolina, we don't get a lot of snow. Rarely. I got a couple of videos. We actually did have snow last year, but it was literally like a couple of days we had snow, and so I just reschedule them and get on them. And I'm not afraid to get on a wet roof because the cougar paws hold everything. Got a link in the bio for cougar paws if you're looking for boots. Got them on Amazon. Amazon's got everything, so that's about all where I shop, everything. So yeah, if you want a link to all my gear, that's pretty much all the equipment that I use to do my claims. So do I set aside 20% of each paycheck and set aside for taxes? Yes, I do 25% for my taxes. And what I do is I have a separate account, bank account, that I can do it all online. So as my direct deposits come in, as soon as I get that check, I multiply by 25 and put it into my tax bank account. And then when I get about $5,000 roughly, I send it to the IRS. I don't even worry about quarterly. I like when it comes in or whatever. I just literally, when I get $5,000, I send it in when that bank account gets to 5,000. And generally by the end of the year, I owe about 3,000 or 4,000 more and write the check. So it works out perfectly for me. Just to take 25 out, and as soon as it gets to 5,000, and they have an online tax pay for prepayment, and I don't have to send paperwork in or a check or anything. I do it all online, and I just send it to the IRS online. There's a prepayment for quarterly taxes link on the IRS site. You link it to your bank account, transfer it over. I mean, everything's super fast, super fast. If I work remote as a new adjuster, will this be similar or the same experience as a regular desk adjuster, and is it a good stepping stone to field adjusting? I'm not sure about the remote position that you're doing, because that's something relatively new. I know a good buddy of mine that's doing a remote right now, and he doesn't want to be a field adjuster, so he's happy doing what he's doing. But yeah, any experiences you get, remote or whatever, is always a great opportunity to build your resume. So yeah, take whatever position you got. Resume is everything, guys. When you send that into the firm, that's all they're looking at is What do you got to experience? So remember, I was telling you, your continuing education, in order to renew your license, you got to take a whole bunch of courses, like 25 hours worth of courses. Write those, every one of those courses you took, put that at the bottom of your resume, additional training, course, and keep going. And so literally after 9 years of continuing education, I've got like 100 courses listed at the bottom of my resume. And anyone who sees my resume says, this guy's more than trained. There's nothing I need to say about this guy as far as knowledge. So yeah, just knock it out. Take any position that you got. This is what I tell people at the beginning. So for instance, here was a great scenario for a CAT event that I got. I was on vacation. Yeah, I use, who do I do my CE through? Just an online one. I think it's CE online or something. No, just any of them will do that. You just buy, you pay your $50 or $60 or whatever, and you can buy all the hours you need for doing your continuing education. I sit down and I cram it out and knock it out in a day. So yeah, great one. No, they don't do proximity as far as disasters. They just look at their roster and go down the line. They don't care how far you are away. They might use some locals potentially. That's only if they're deploying only just a few people. So like I had a South Carolina catastrophe had happened, and instead of calling somebody from Texas in, they just called me from Raleigh and said, hey, can you go over to South Carolina and in Columbia and handle 30 claims for us? And I said, sure. So I spent the night, a couple nights at a hotel, knocked out the 30 inspections, wrote them, and then came back home. So yeah, they'll sometimes do that for a small event, but for a hurricane event, they don't care if you live in Texas or North Carolina. They'll call you to Texas from North Carolina. And here's the thing, if you're a good adjuster, and I've heard many a manager say this, once you've gained your right as an adjuster, meaning that you're a good adjuster, I've had many a manager call me up and say, you're my first call. You're my first call for this carrier. Do you want to go on the CAT event? And if I don't, they move to the second call and move their way down. So the goal is, if you do a really good job at your events, you're going to gain ranking in those rosters to the point where they're going to put you higher and higher. And even if you're in the top 10, hey, that's a great place to be when it comes to a CAT event where they may only be bringing in 10 guys, to handle 40 claims each. Maybe that's all they got, 400 claims or whatever, and they just want to, have 10 guys help out. So it's real important to do a great job and so what I was going to tell you about was this catastrophe event. I was on vacation up in Lake Superior in Minnesota, and I was up there with my family, and I got a call from a firm that said, hey, do you want to go to Canada for a CAT? And I actually had all my stuff, my visas, all the stuff I needed to go to Canada, and I was just all being prepared. And this company called me and said, can you be here in 24 hours? And that call, I had to say yes while he was on the phone. He said, give me an answer right now. And because he wasn't going to let me call him back or talk to my wife or anything. So I had to be available. And I was always told that if somebody calls you and offers you work, you say yes, no matter what it is. If you're brand new and you need an opportunity, you always say yes. You don't hang up and call them back. So I said yes. And so I told my wife, and we're on vacation, and I said, honey, we're going to Canada for a CAT. We got to be there in 24 hours. And she was ecstatic. She was so happy because at that time we weren't really doing a whole lot of work for work. And so this was an opportunity to do well. But what was really cool is I did that CAT. I did a pretty decent job. I mean, I wasn't the best adjuster, even in the top 10 probably. But that firm still kept calling me because I said yes the first time. And their goal is just to find people, warm bodies, to fill the position for the insurance company. Insurance company calls them and says, hey, I need 10 guys to knock this out. Can you provide that? And they say yes. And all they want when they call you is for you to say yes so they can get the 10 guys. They don't care who you are. They just want to be able to go back to the carrier and say, yep, we got 10 guys, they'll be there tomorrow. So that's why you always say yes, because then that firm is going to remember you, that you said yes when they called, and then they'll call you again because they know you might say yes. So this is a game. All right, question. All right. I have 2 years experience as a IA with State Farm. I'm trying to work different carriers and surprised how difficult it's been to get those firms to give me claims. Any suggestions? I'm in San Antonio. Oh, San Antonio, yeah, that's a great area, but it's also saturated with adjusters, so that's why you're having a hard time. That's just a really busy area. I lived in Texas for 5 years, and pretty much a guy told me, he said, you're gonna have a hard time finding work here in Texas just because there's so many adjusters, because so many events occur there. So again, you're going to have to set yourself apart, make yourself look different than everyone else. And the only way you're going to do that is making your resume look great, get your training, level 1 and level 2 Xactimate certified, even go for Symbility. If you don't have it, get it. Put it on a resume. You may not even have to use it, but people call me all the time and say, yeah, I see that you have Symbility training. Do you want to do a deployment? No, thanks. You know, at least it's there, and they'll call you because they see it there. It's valuable. So the same thing goes for any type of certifications. So USAA certification, TWIA, which is Texas Windstorm certification. Definitely want to get that, because that's pretty much any storm that hits Texas. So you're going to have a wind event. You're going to have to be TWIA certified. I can't handle any claims unless you are. So if you get your resume looking good, then when you go to submit it to the firm, you can basically call them up and say, oh, I just want to let you know I just sent you my updated resume. And you may only put one thing on it. One new thing on it. Maybe it was a new CE course. So here's the thing. That gets your resume in front of that person that you just called, the HR department or whatever, deployment group, and you're reminding them to look at your resume, because you're not going to tell them what the new thing is that you just put on your resume. You're going to force them to go look at your resume and see if they can recognize anything on it that's new. Well, in the meantime, you've now put your resume in front of that person, and it may jog their attention. Oh, he's level 1 and 2 levels certified, you know, and you know, that's a good sell-in feature for you to, you know, maybe get work, because they go, well, not many people are level 1 and level 2 certified, so that's really good. He must know Xactimate really well. So anyway, so that's just a thing that will get, you've got to pursue them. So as an independent adjuster, think of yourself, you're representing your business, you, and the only person that's going to promote you is you. Those firms don't care about you hardly at all, unless you're one of the best adjusters. Now that takes years and years and years of proven success that you are one of their best adjusters. Now managers love me and they want to call me up and keep on trying to get me to do more work, but it takes a long time. So in the meantime, when you're brand new or you're relatively new, you still have to sell yourself to them. You're selling you, you're selling your experience, you're telling them that you are a determined adjuster, that you're faithful, you do what you say you're going to do, you turn in your claims the same day that you work them. You sell yourself to them so that they can't do anything but say, hey, maybe we should give this guy a shot. You know, XYZ adjuster over here kind of jerks in that state. They're not turning their files in the same day. Maybe we should send a couple over to him and see if he can write them good and do a good job. Great opportunity for you to step on somebody else's toes, not in a bad way, but to get your foot in the door and get you that chance. I've had managers call me and tell me, you know, I'd really like you to handle some more claims, and I tell them, I can't, but can you refer them over to this adjuster? And I happen to know one of the other local adjusters in the area. And they said, no, we'd rather just have you do them. And I go, okay, I get the picture. So it happens. They have their favorite adjusters. They have people they'd rather not work with. They have some that are, you know, so-so work, whatever. So you set yourself apart and you're always going to find work. So I have 13 licenses so far, I think. I lost track. I had 21 licenses when I was working for State Farm. And that was because I was a desk adjuster and I guaranteed myself tons and tons of work. And I saw people, when our contracts got renewed, I was always left because I had the most licenses. So licenses are key when you're a desk adjuster. Just see it as an expense that you're going to have to pay. It's an investment in your future. It will guarantee you work and guaranteed renewed contracts, because think about it. If you got a guy who's got 3 licenses and you got 21, that means you can handle 21 states worth of work, whereas he can only handle 3. So he's limiting his usefulness by only having 3 licenses. And they'll go, hey, I'm gonna get rid of that guy and keep the guy that's got 21 because he can work everything. And I saw that when I was working for Wardlaw. They went down to like 8 of us. I mean, really cut us down. The whole team started like 40. And then ended up doing a whole bunch of cutbacks, and State Farm was cutting back, and I was there a year and a half working for Wardlaw, and it just kept getting renewed every 3 months. We'd get a new contract for 3 months, and the group that I saw leaving were the people that didn't have as many licenses, and only the 8 of us were the ones that had over 20 licenses. So it was an investment, but now I don't care about Michigan. I don't go to Michigan, so I let Michigan go, even though it's $5. I'm not going to waste $5 on a license to Michigan when I can just get it if I need it. So no, I didn't go to Minnesota. Lots of big hail there. Got a lot of stuff going on in my house right now that I'm just trying to settle with. I've not been doing catastrophes. I know you guys would love to see some catastrophe stuff. Like, I would actually do a lot of videos if I was actually going out on catastrophes, because there's a lot of great stuff. But I've been actually staying local for the last couple of years. Just got a lot of stuff going on at home, trying to keep on top of. So I have not been traveling. But I was called to literally every event that has occurred in the catastrophe world for the last 2 years. Everyone's called me. And I just had to keep saying, just going to hang out local for a little bit here. Sorry, guys. And they go, well, make sure you let us know when you're ready. So it's a really nice arrangement where people will call you. As you get more and more experience, they'll just keep calling you. So that's great. You won't do Michigan either. Yeah, the roofs there are kind of weird. And the people. All right, what state is not good because too many adjusters and bad carriers? I think I mentioned that with Texas. Not bad carriers, just too many adjusters. You could find work, but you'd have to be the top tier. I have tried Xactimate Mobile, don't like it, won't use it. It's a waste of time. Personally, I'm not going to carry an iPad and stand in somebody's house for an hour while I write their estimate. It's just not, I'm not going to do it. So I tried it. I just don't like. I don't like their sketching. Yeah, I can draw it at home. I can draw a house. I can draw an entire floor of a house in about 15 minutes. So why would I spend 30 minutes fiddling with their stupid program on an iPad? So no, I don't do it. A lot of guys swear by it. They use the disto. Mine's a Bluetooth one, which would transfer the information, but it's something so new. It's kind of like the stupid YouTube thing that I was having problems with earlier. When you do something new on something that you've not been used, or you have not used in a long time, or you're not trained thoroughly on it, it slows you down. It just slows you down. It's like molasses trying to write things. And then, and I experienced it because ASI-Progressive had us using a new app called Settle Assist. And it was terrible when it started. It was the nightmare of a program, app that we had to use on our phone to do all the roofing. And until they've actually tweaked it to be really good, and they still have some glitches now, it was a thorn in my side. I had to use it all the time. And so now I'm using it and I'm doing okay with it. So, and it's actually helped me speed up my estimate writing. But that's the way that I see Xactimate Mobile, is they can barely get X1 right after they spent 5 years getting 28 right. Now they screwed up by going to X1 and have a whole bunch of problems are starting all over again. Like, why did you change from 28? It was finally working really well after the 5 years of tweaking. Then they come out with the X1 and they got all the same problems that they had in 27.5. Nothing but troubles. tons of upload problems, tons of glitches, crashes. I mean, it's just a nightmare. So whenever you start with a new program, it can really throw a kink in your plan. And what I'd like to do is streamline things so that they go so fast that literally I could do it in my sleep. I know where the button is to click. I need to literally move my mouse and I'm going there and doing that. And that's how things have become now. But it's taken years of doing that. So for you guys who are new that are sitting there going, I'm never going to get this, I'm going to be slow forever, just be patient. It'll come. It will. It's repetition, but it'll come. And then you'll be like, wow, I can't believe I can write an estimate that quick. And that's what happens. So, okay. Wow, this is great, man. 17 people on here. I'm excited. I'm glad you guys are sticking around. I've been talking a lot. Do I use macros? Yes. So I mentioned this, Robert. You definitely want to buy my macros. Macros are a lifesaver for writing estimates. They speed up things tenfold. And what I mean by that is basically I put all the things that I would ever write on a roof. There's about 16 things, everything from skylights to antennas, TV antennas, the solar panels, everything. It's all in one big long list. And I save it to one word that says 30 years, you're welcome, I'm glad to go live. So like 30 years laminate shingle replace. And maybe it's carrier specific. I might put universal or ASI or whatever. But I click on that and it drops all those items into my estimate. And then all I have to do is delete the things that are not on the roof in order to write my estimate. So it's super, super fast. I can literally write a roof estimate in 10 minutes, 5 to 10 minutes at the most. Because that macro, it just drops in. Oh yeah, I have 3 vents instead of 2, change that number. Only one satellite dish, change that number. There's cornice returns. They're on, 2 are high and 2 are low. Change that real quick, delete the other 2. I don't have any strips, don't have any cornice strips. So everything is in that macro. And I do that for everything. I was telling somebody earlier that I did a fire claim just recently, $250,000 fire claim. And I'm replacing all the drywall, trim, insulation, light fixtures, smoke detectors, base, flooring, every single thing in every room is getting replaced in this house. And I have a macro that says fire, replace all, or complete room. And basically it has about 25 or 30 items all in there. And I literally can just drag and drop, basically click on the macro, it drops it into the estimate. And I'm now just wrote the entire estimate for that room. And I take that macro and I copy and paste it to the next room. And I go through each of the rooms that way, if I'm replacing everything. And I can literally write I wrote a $250,000 estimate on a total house burn almost, and a total house flood because of the water that came into the house in 6 hours. That was a $1,400 claim. That's pretty good hourly rate when you're talking about only 6 hours worth of work. So that's the benefit of the macros. I sell about 200 or 300 of those macros for 49 bucks. It's in the link, I think, in this video. You can get those. And I tell you, it's a steal. And Judd even mentioned he's bought them. I know a couple other people have bought them and they swear by them. And I swear by them. I use them every day. I would not want to write estimates without macros. So I just make it easy for you guys. So do I find working with a contractor makes life easier or slows you down? Judd totally slows me down. I hate working with contractors. But so here's how you get around that. So a contractor, homeowner says, yeah, I'm working with a contractor. And a lot of times it's roofers. So roofers are fine. They're cool. And I got lots of videos on roofers and how to deal with them. So treat those guys like they're your friends. Contractors are annoying because they think we're out to rip them off. And they don't understand that that's not the norm. We're independents. We aren't out to rip anybody off. In fact, I want to write the biggest estimate I can. I make more money by doing that. So I'm not here to rip anybody off. But the contractors have kind of an attitude when they come in, like we are trying to rip them off. And so I use my past experience as a contractor to say, listen, I wrote a lot of estimates. I used to do this work. I get it that you're looking after the customer, but I want to explain that your relationship is with them. Okay, they hired you. Okay, and if we have something on the back end that we have a disagreement about, then it will be up to you to discuss that with me if there's a discrepancy. But until then, let's just leave that arrangement with you and the homeowner. And I'm going to write my estimate and we'll talk about it later. So I think it's a really great way to kind of diffuse this attitude that you get from the very beginning with a contractor, is to say, I'm here to write a good estimate too. And I get it. You want to write a good estimate too. And and you tell this to the contractor, there's going to be supplements. I can't see everything. I haven't torn apart the walls. I don't know whether everything is damaged behind the walls. There's going to be supplements. So let's just write the best estimate we can right now, and we'll figure out if we need to add something later. And a lot of times that just diffuses that whole argument mentality. And he goes, oh, okay, cool. Well, I got a cool adjuster. He's out there to help the insured, and we'll do a good job. So then you let him go off and talk to the owner and let him have his conversations with them and spend all the time walking around the house with them. And you get quiet, peace and quiet, walking around doing your estimate and doing your measurements and writing your notes without having to have him hovering around behind you. Now, the benefit to a contractor on a remediation side is a little bit different. So the remediator comes in, he's doing all the water mitigation, tearing out all the damaged product. If you get there and he hasn't tore everything out, then he's a valuable tool for you to be able to write a better estimate. Because think about it, if he comes in and he's only taking out a couple of baseboards, but he's planning on taking out all the flooring after you leave, then you don't want to be writing that flooring for a tear out if he's already doing the tear out. The reason why that's important is you're going to have to go back and edit your estimate if you write a remove and replace, and the desk adjuster gets his estimate and says he already removed the floor, then you got a double bill. You're basically paying twice for the tear out. And so they're going to send that file back to me. File review is going to send it back to me, and I have to touch that file again, which I don't want to do if I can help it. So the best thing to do is talk to that remediator and say, hey, what are you taking out? How much drywall do you think you're taking out of this room? How much baseboard are you taking out? When you guys did your moisture meters, what baseboard are you taking out? Have you taken out everything that you're taking out? Those are good questions to ask them. Oh no, we're going to take the tile out of the bathroom because it got wet. Okay, cool. I'm not gonna write to remove the tile. Or, for instance, if I didn't see the tile out, I may not write for the tile at all. So it's a good conversation to have for him to be able to say, yeah, I'm taking the tile out. Oh, okay, cool. I'll write to replace the tile and the baseboard and the shoe and all these other things. And and are you taking any cabinets out? Do you see any damage in the cabinets? No, I'm not seeing any damage to the cabinets. Okay, saves you some time. So you're clarifying on that estimate with that remediation contractor what he's actually taking out. Now, a contractor, I'm not going to talk to them about anything about what they're doing pretty much, because I can't trust them a lot of times to be honest with me about what they're doing. So I'm going to kind of steer them away, and I'm going to do my best to write the estimate without really talking to them, because they're looking at the same stuff I am. If I see sheetrock or cracks in the roof or whatever, I don't need a contractor to tell me that he's going to take the sheetrock down and see if there's any framing damage behind there. I'll just do a drywall repair and whatever, and if it comes back later, we'll adjust it. So contractors I try to avoid as much as possible, but the remediation guys are my friend. They save me a lot of time and a lot of touching the claims again. So yeah. All right, so what kind of automatic replacement do you do for your vehicle? How do you get your vehicle ready for the season? Yeah, so good question. My car, I get about 3 years out of it. I buy used cars about 10 years old, normally Toyotas or Lexuses, something foreign because it gets me better longevity. I change my tires out before they even look like they need it, because I don't want to be on the side of the road with a flat tire in between claims. So when I get about a 1/4 inch of tread, I go ahead and swap those tires out. I just call it up as a business expense, write it off for the year, Yeah, maybe I could get an extra 5,000 miles out of those tires, or 10,000 even. I don't want to be on the side of the road in between claims. So my tires look brand new all the time. As far as cars, the reason why I use foreign cars is they typically don't have maintenance issues. I buy a car with about 150,000 miles on it, Toyota Highlander or something foreign like that with miles on it. And I put about 50,000 miles per year on a car. So by that time it's got 300,000 or 400,000 miles on it and I get rid of it. So I change my oil. I buy, so recently it's been a little bit different, but in the years past, I changed my oil every 5,000 miles. This one has synthetic, 100% synthetic oil. And so I change it every 10,000 miles. So, but I do it routinely, absolutely never miss an oil change. And that has made a huge difference in how long these cars run with no maintenance issues. I just don't have any maintenance issues. So getting it ready, just make sure you do your inspections. If you've got local inspections and you think you may want to go in a CAT adjustment, you want to make sure you don't have an expired tag or expired inspection sticker while you're away from home. Good way to get a ticket. So just get all those things done, do them early. Do your inspections early. Do I change batteries every year? No, I don't think I've ever changed my battery. Never changed my battery, unless it breaks. Length of ladder, I use a 22-foot Werner fold-up ladder, not the extendable ones like the telescopic ones. I don't use those, but I use a folding ladder from Werner, 22 foot, and also I think it's the baby one, this baby giant is about 9 feet. So I use that. And I got connection issues, kind of weird. The internet's kind of weird. There was another question. Yes, I get on every roof. I literally climb anything that I get on. In fact, I went on one the other day. So this one, it was a defective shingle, which is unique for North Carolina, but it has a lot of granule loss, and it's been known that the 3-tab shingle actually will break off when you step on it. So it's a very dangerous shingle to climb. I didn't feel like pulling my rope out. It was a 10-12, 2-story, nothing but ground on the 2-story, so I would fall off and hurt myself bad. So I called in Hancock, and this carrier actually does pay for Hancock. So I basically let that guy climb the roof. I got up on the ladder, took my photos, didn't climb the roof, and I just took my photos and said roof unsafe to climb, and tried to grab as close as I could to the granule loss and the type of roof, you know, found some shingles that were slightly bent, took those photos. The roofer had already confirmed that there were over 20 shingles on front and back, so he had done the full inspection. I just put that in my notes and said roofer confirmed 20 damaged shingles, wind damage on front and back, 2 unsafe to climb, you know, age and deterioration factor on the shingle, contributing factor to me replacing the roof. It went through. So sometimes you can get away with not getting on the roof if it's super unsafe. They can't force you to get on a roof that's unsafe, even with a rope. I'm not climbing on a roof that if I step on a shingle, it's going to fall off. Even with a rope, I don't want to be on that roof. So you just tell them, hey, roof's in deteriorating factor, unsafe to climb. You know, damage appears justified from roofer, blah, 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 whatever. Put it in your notes. They can't argue with it. So a couple other questions. Do I complete all my claims in one day or in each day? Streetwise, absolutely. This is one of those things that I would say will set you apart from probably 80% of the adjusters out there. In fact, a guy locally here was complaining that he wasn't getting very many claims. And I said, do you turn in claims every day? And he goes, no, I wait till the next morning. And I said, there's your problem. I said, you turn in that claim before that's 12 o'clock hits, because it's the next day when it's 12:01, 12:0001, okay? So Xactimate will clock that day in at 12:0001 and says, hey, that's the next day. you want to have your claim turned in before that day. So don't inspect more than what you can turn in on the same day. It will set you apart as a good adjuster. And I know that because we have monthly or quarterly meetings with some of the firms, and they show this little dial, however they show it, and they have a dial that shows the amount of time from inspection to turning in. So they actually track that data from the time that, you know, they do a lot of, I'll read that in a minute, but they do a lot of data. They do it from the time that you receive the claim to the time that you call. They track that. They also track the time from the time that you've called, if you had to leave a message, to the time that you call the next time. Because you're putting all that in Xactimate, exact analysis. You're actually logging those notes in, and they're tracking all that. And then they track it from the time you receive the claim to the time that you inspect the claim. How long is that time? 1 day, 2 day, 3 day, 4 day, whatever. I mean, if it's busy, they don't care if it's a 7 day. They know it's busy. All the claims are 7 days. But your average should be 1 to 2. You see it really quick from the time you get it. The next tracking they do is from inspection time to turn-in time. And that better be the same day. The next time they track is from the time that a file reviewer sends you the file for corrections to the time you turn that correction in. So think about all those data points. Those are all tracked. The firm has a huge spreadsheet, and they track every one of those items, and they rank adjusters based on that information. And I've had managers tell me on quarterly reports, I'm in the top 5 every single, in most of the country, actually the entire country for those firms. I'm in the top 5. And that's for every adjuster that works for that firm. I'm in the top 5. And that's what gets me deployments on every deployment I ever want to go on. It gets me as many claims as I want to handle. It's performance, guys. They want performance. They want a good claim. They want a guy who's faithful. They want a guy who turns in when he's supposed to. And in fact, when you read the guidelines of the carrier, when they send you the carrier packet, all those things say turn in your claim the same day that you inspect. Every carrier says the same thing. So why would you break the rules? If they say I want the claim turned in the same day, why would you break the rules? That's what they asked for, so do it. So that's how you guarantee yourself work. So, see if there's any other questions. I don't know. Well, it's really great, man. I got 26 people on here wanting to learn how to be an adjuster. I'm excited. I'm glad you guys like my stuff. Because, you know, it's hard being in YouTube land. Well, you're in YouTube land. And you're not sure if anybody really likes your stuff or not. So, so it's good to know if you guys like it because you're watching it. And you're hung out here for 89 minutes. Plus 2 other lives that I've been going since 4 o'clock. Man, time flies when you're having fun. So I'll get my internet going and we're good. What shoes do you wear for tile roofs? Okay, good question. You're doing great in LOL YouTube land. Good. Okay. So tile roofs, we're actually not supposed to climb. So pretty much most of your carrier guidelines will tell you don't climb tile roofs because you'll break them. And then you're liable for those broken tiles. They're really hard to climb on. I've actually been in Florida working in Catastrophe and walked on a ton of them. And unfortunately, you break them. So I'm admitting I broke them. But that's what they want you to do is do basically gutter inspections on those. So most of your tile roofs, you know, the clay tile, the big circle clay tiles, you typically, you just try and get your ladder as high as you can over the roof edge, and you get a telephoto camera. The camera that I have in my link in my description, the Sony Cybercam is the best camera because it gets me 10 times digital zoom. So think about it. If I'm 40 feet away, I can get 4 feet. I can see that tile with as if I was 4 feet from that tile. So I can inspect the tiles sitting up about 4 feet above the gutter. I can survey that slope and see if I have any broken tiles. Now, the interesting thing, when you're dealing with a hail scenario, you don't have to see 40 feet away. You can literally do your test square within, you don't have to do 10 by 10. So I can literally see everything at 10 feet and see if hail has damaged those tiles without getting on the roof. And that's how you do the inspection on your tile. And then you have to go around to the next side, the front, go around to the left and the right and back, the whole thing. And you do your little test square like that. And you should be able to see how many vents there are on the roof. But most of the time, unless it's massive hail, your tile is not going to break. I mean, it might have a few, and then you just write up a repair and you count your tiles and say, hey, I got 20 on this side that are broken. But they're not going to replace that tile roof for 20. So, and if you get into a scenario where it's a really bad hailstorm, you're going to see everything from the edge of your ladder. Every other tile is going to be busted, and you're just going to write to replace. So tile roofs are easy, but you don't climb them. If the gutters are not nailed through the drip edge, or if they are nailed through or are not nailed through the drip edge, hold on, I didn't get that. We got glitches here on reading my stuff. Sorry. I am reading notes on my laptop because I can't. I don't know, it's not working. I don't know, ask this question again. I can't connect it on this one. Sorry about that. So if your gutters are nailed through your drip edge, probably the question is, I have to remove the gutters. I have to detach and reset the gutters. Yeah, so if the gutters are damaged, then great, you got to take them off anyways. Let's say they're not damaged and you've got the gutters nailed through the drip edge. I have to detach and reset those gutters in order to replace the drip edge. So yeah, you're going to have to detach and reset. That's okay though. That's good money. Detach and reset gutters, it's like $400 or $500 that you get to throw to your estimate just to detach and reset those. So yeah, so that's why you take that photo of the drip edge. You know how you lift the shingle up and you're seeing how many layers there are? One layer with no drip edge, or one layer with drip edge. Then you take a picture of the pin and says, and gutters driven through drip edge, or drip edge underneath the gutters. No, you can't. If you've got your drip edge that is going behind the gutters, even if it's not nailed through, which they would be, if it's going behind the gutters, you automatically have to detach and reset those gutters. The only time you wouldn't have to do anything is, I've seen this, is really bizarre, but they will put the drip edge over the gutters and they will notch where the pin is, where the attachment is. And they'll bend that little drip edge up and notch around. It's the stupidest thing in the world I've ever seen. But yeah, you don't have to detach the gutters at that point because they'll just cut that drip edge like they did the last time and notch it around the pin. So yeah, if it goes over top of that gutter, so remember your gutter's here and then that drip edge is going to go over top of it, then you don't have to detach the gutters. If that drip edge is coming under yours, then you're going to have to take care of it. Yeah, so hotel, I use Marriott. That's the only one I use. And the reason why is that I tell them I'm an adjuster when I go to town and they give me a discount. And when I was traveling a bunch, I would rack up points like you wouldn't believe for free nights at that Marriott because they're really good at rewarding us for staying there. And so what I did is I would use Marriott, I would book online, and then when I got to the hotel, I book up on a regular price. Then when we got to the hotel and introduced myself, I'd say, yeah, I'm here for the catastrophe in the area. Can you get me a better rate? And they'd always knock off like 20% off of that. So I always do it. But then I'm still getting free nights because I'm staying there forever. So, and a lot of times my deployments were 30 days or less. So typically that's what they've been doing. Sorry, I got an itch. Typically what they do is they don't deploy for longer than 30 days typically on the deployment, because they want to give you 50 claims or 30 claims or whatever, and they want the next guy to get 30 claims. They don't want to give you 100 and then you be 4 weeks out before you can get to them. So what they'll do is they'll bring in lots of adjusters and maybe give them all 20 so they can knock it all out in a week. So their goal is to get these claims seen. So the more adjusters they have, this is where a new opportunity for a new adjuster is really good, because you can get deployed and get 20 claims, and they're not putting all their eggs in one basket with you giving you 50. So they'll give you 20 as a new adjuster, and then you can fumble around with those for a couple weeks and they're okay with that. So great opportunity to get deployed. And that's what it was like for my first tail one, is it gave me 20 and it took me like 2 or 3 weeks to get them done, and I was crap. I didn't do a very good job, but hey, put it on my resume. Talk about O&P. Yeah, so O&P, the roofers cannot charge it. They cannot put O&P on their estimates, because most roofers are independent contractors, and they don't have to be licensed in North Carolina to do it, and or whatever state. Most of the time they don't have to use a state. So they'd love to try to put on O&P, but O&P will only, so overhead and profit is typically only for big jobs like interior water claims, or maybe it was a hail claim that did everything on the whole house damaged. But you still can't put it on the roofing, because the roofing, they know, are independent people coming in. So typically what I do is I use O&P when I get to like a fire claim or a really big water claim where I'm bringing cabinets, trim, flooring, tile. Your drywall guys and paint can kind of combine. If I have blown in insulation, see, I can't just put in bad insulation if it's blown in, and there's a separate tool for putting in blown in insulation. So I could actually technically get a O&P on blown in insulation, because I have to use a different contractor. So that's a good one. Yeah, so if you have multiple trades where you're bringing in tons of people, then you want to put on O&P. But hey, you'll learn by trial and error whether they'll accept it or not, because you put it on and your file reviewer is going to go, there's not enough trades here, take it off. Before it even gets to the firm, your file reviewer is going to pretty much double check you and tell you whether you can put it on or not. So I would say most of the time though, it's not on there, which is a bummer, because it's 20% that you get to add to your estimate and then you get paid for that. So, but generally speaking, I hardly ever add it unless it's just a super big claim, but most of the time not. What was the last question somebody asked? I don't have my other thing over here, so I can't read. Sorry about that. I saw a note. Oh, the best states to get. Okay, yeah, so, or the best firms. Yeah, so what I would do is go over to catadjuster.org. I lived on this website when I was first new adjuster. And basically, if you go to a tab that says adjusting firms, you'll get basically the top 50 firms probably in the country that are willing to advertise on that website and spend money to put their name there. And those are people that are looking for work or looking for adjusters. If you're not registered on catadjuster.org, definitely get registered, because what that does is it allows you to put your home state, and where you're located and what licenses you have. And so firms go on there sometimes when they're looking for new adjusters in a state. And if you happen to be living in the state that they're looking for, they're going to call you. So I get a lot of calls from firms on catadjuster.org saying, hey, you want to handle more claims? So that's a great way to find work. It's also, they do advertisement for work. So when they're looking for people, then you can get signed up on their rosters that way. But it also shows really who are the best firms to work for. And those are the guys who have the most hits or the most people that are searching for them. But, Lackerty, Pilot, EA, Renfro, Crawford and Company, Wardlaw, All Cat. Oh, there's a whole bunch more, but there's so many rosters. I mean, there's probably 20 great ones that are at the top 20. That I would just call them all and get on all the rosters and do all their paperwork and do whatever. So there are definitely lots of work out there. That's what I tell people is they say, if you're having problems finding work, then you're just not looking hard enough, because there's tons of work. There's tons and tons and tons of work. And I'm not talking about just people that like me that have lots of experiences. That I could call a brand new firm that I've never worked for and ask them if they have work. And if they say, you know, what do you have for experience? Before I even send them my resume, I could just say, level 1, level 2 certified. I've handled over 500 claims. I don't have to tell them I've handled over 5,000. I just say over 500 claims. You know, I'm very comfortable on a roof. I got all my gear, my equipment. You know, yeah, I'd love to work for you. They go, sure, let's get you on the roster. So you can get on the roster, and you got to remember, when a storm event happens, every one of those firms is calling for adjusters, because somewhere in there, their client has said, hey, I need 20 adjusters to go to this event. So even the no-name firms that you've never worked for and never even heard of are looking for adjusters in that storm. Now, you got to remember that all of those guys are all overlapping on all of those firms. And, you know, so the big firms are going to steal all the good guys, and all the other firms are going to be scrambling. So they're not going to be able to find the people. So they'll take a new guy in a heartbeat because they don't want to disappoint the carrier. They're trying to make sure the carrier gets taken care of and the claims get handled. So you definitely get on everybody's. You'll get called, especially during a big event. So Hag Certifications, very good question. Hag is definitely recognized as, you know, a very good certification to get. I researched this a long time ago, but the problem that has come up with it is it's extremely expensive to maintain that certification. So what I mean by that is, I think, don't quote me on this, I think it was about $2,000 a year to maintain that certification. It was really, really expensive. It's like $1,000 to get it and about $2,000 to maintain it. And I think it's a scam. I really do. I feel like, just personally, I just think that they're out there kind of ripping off the new adjuster, thinking that he needs to be Hag certified in order to do this job. And I bought the Hag book. It's like a little 30-page book that shows you the difference between real hail damage and not hail damage, and goes over the material pictures and stuff like that. So it's helpful. But do you need to be certified? No. No one's going to ask you if you're Hag certified and turn you down for work if you're not. It's just one of those gray area certifications that I wouldn't spend the money on. It's not worth it. But good question. Well, guys, I think I am going to end my live. It's been 104 minutes, and then I was on a couple hours early. I've been going since 4 o'clock, so that's 3.5 hours. That's some kind of live. I'm glad you guys enjoyed. Don't forget, remember, super thanks, that's what it's called, on each video that you guys like. There's on the bottom of my videos, if you really like a video, there's a thanks button. Click it, donate some money, $1 or $2. You're welcome, Corey. Good to see you. Donate it because it tells me, you're welcome, Matthew. It tells me whether you guys like the content in that video, and it really helps me to make new ones. You're welcome, Judd. Thanks for buying the macros too. It tells me if you guys appreciate it. Yeah, and Judd, thanks for the money. He actually did a super thanks too. $5, hey, helps out. And just lets me know you guys appreciate what I'm doing here, and then I'll keep doing it and keep giving you content. Oh, there you go. Man, awesome. Thank you so much. And fix your boat. Man, I think that's the second amount of money you gave me. I really appreciate it. So yeah, it just helps me, guys, to understand what you guys think is a good content. I don't do this stuff to get rich. I just do it to help you guys out. And I appreciate it. Wish I had gotten on earlier. Thanks for all you. Hey, good, Nick. I'm glad you're there, but I'll do it again. I think I might do it every Sunday. I think I might do that. Is just do it every Sunday. It's a good time. People are chilling out, getting ready for the work week. It's a little calm for me because I'm not doing anything because I take Sundays off. Got to have a day of rest, so it's good. So guys, thank you so much. I really appreciate it, and we will see you guys before too long. Thanks.